Have you ever met someone and your body responded? I mean, you see them, they speak to you, you start having butterflies, you start sweating, that feeling, that thing get to thinging, you know what I mean. The sparks are sparking and the vibes are vibing, okay? And then a few months later, it's like, why do I feel like I am on a hamster wheel? Why has the butterflies turned to knots in my stomach? Yeah, that's what we're talking about today, because a lot of us, especially those of us who are incredibly driven, successful, smart, capable women, we're not actually in love with the person. We're in love with the feeling that we are calling chemistry. But when we start to break it down, it's not chemistry, sweetie. It turns out to be chaos. If your love life feels like you are on a roller coaster that you cannot get off, that is never ending, then today's episode is for you. Hi, I'm Dr. Tiff, your relationship transformation coach. I've spent the past 20 years working with high-achieving women just like you who are crushing it in every area of their lives, everywhere except their relationships. And look, I get it. Finding the one ain't easy, and relationships are hard. But you know what's even harder? Cycling through the bad ones, or worse, staying in relationships when you already know they're not a good fit. You want a relationship of ease, uncomplicated, someone to love you down, but instead you've been suffering through bad dates, sexual incompatibility, and someone who might be good for somebody, but not for you. And if we're really being honest, you know that deep down, the work that really needs to be done starts and ends with you. If you're done wasting time in dead-end relationships and sick of looking for, chasing after, or trying to convince somebody to be the one, and you're ready to become the one, then baby, you're in the right place. So prop your feet and let's clink glasses, because I'm giving you the tea and the tips to fix your relationships. Let's go. Hey there, it's me, Dr. Tiff, and you are listening to Fix Your Relationships podcast. All right, so let's just start right here, okay? This came up because in the live training that we've been doing, More Love, Less Hustle, I talked quite a bit about the fact that chaos in our relationships sometimes presents itself, especially initially, as chemistry. I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into that here on the podcast and let you know that if this episode tickles your little fancy, you need to head on over to More Love, Less Hustle. So, because we are going to be talking about that ad nauseum at that training. We have trainings throughout the month of February, one coming up this week on Wednesday. So lean into that. Go ahead and get signed up. Go to becometheone.myflowdesk.com/more love less hustle. That's a long URL, but you can find it in the show notes. Okay. All right. So how many times have you said, I don't know what it is? We just click, we vibing. It was instant. Our souls just tied, okay? Only to end up crying, confused, and clawing your way out of a situationship that turned out to be the absolute ghetto 2 months later, okay? We throw the words soulmate and chemistry around like confetti, but we rarely stop and ask, is this really chemistry that I'm feeling? Because it keeps happening over and over again. And logically, it can't always be chemistry, girl, if it keeps ending in crumbles every time. Am I right? So consider this. Perhaps that feeling that you're feeling and that you're calling chemistry is actually your nervous system being set off in ways that you learn to call attraction or connection. That feeling, that chemistry, it's not really butterflies, okay? It's not. It's adrenaline that is fueling your stomach rumblings. It's the, is he going to text back? I texted him. Why has he not texted back? I don't know what that means. What does this emoji mean? He sent a thumbs up. Does that mean he likes it or he's just agreeing with me? I don't know. We just had a great weekend. Why has he not called me back? I don't know what that's supposed to mean. And because we're so used to the high stakes and the high pressure that fuels us at work, the emotional roller coaster, that ghetto that I was talking about, right? Some of that emotional roller coaster, even though we don't like it, it feels exciting. It's giving excitement. Our bodies say, we know this feeling. This must be love. It's chemistry. It's chaos, sis. It's chaos. And let's talk about why. If you grew up, and we dive into this a whole lot more in More Love, Less Hustle, okay? If you grew up around inconsistent affection, okay? parents maybe that were hot and cold. Sometimes they loved on you and then they isolated and pulled away, right? Unpredictable moods. Maybe you had a moody parent who you walked on eggshells around, never knew what you were going to get. Maybe you had caretakers who were there for you one minute and very checked out the next. They had their own drama, their own issues, their own worries, okay? Or you were in a home where love and stress kind of lived in the same room. They called it love, but from the outside looking in, it did not look like that. Okay. Your body learned this is what love feels like. This is what home feels like. This is what chemistry looks like. So it doesn't look in your mind, in your body, it does not look like calm. It does not look like safety. It does not look steady. What happened early on for many of us is that love felt like waiting to see which version of somebody was going to show up that day. Love looked and felt like walking on eggshells. It looked like trying to be good enough just to keep the peace, okay? So fast forward to adulthood, you meet somebody who's hot one day, cold the next. Super present, and then they disappear. They ghost you. You meet somebody who is so vulnerable with you on your first date, and you feel like, oh my gosh, I really got to know him. He poured his heart out. And then the next day, he sends you a dry, you up, what you doing? And it's just like, where is the person that I met and talked to for 4 hours on our first date? Like, where is that person at? Your mind might be thinking in a way, that's a little weird, but you excuse it away. You explain it away, right? Your body is saying, oh, hey, old friend, I know you. You're just like my mom. You're just like my dad. This is comfortable to me. I know how to manage this because I've been doing this my whole life. And then because it's so familiar, we call it chemistry, but I need you to hear me. That is not chemistry. It is familiarity. And familiarity is not the same thing. It's not the same thing as chemistry. It's chaos is what it is, okay? Now, I'm not saying that healthy love, okay, has to be boring, because I think that's what many of us think, is that if it's not exciting, if it's not some guessing, if there's not just a little bit of push-pull, then it's going to feel very boring. No, honey, it doesn't have to. Actually, what it should feel like to you is safe. It should feel safe. You're registering it as boring, and you're wanting something that is unsafe. You're craving something that is unsafe because that's what you're used to. I'm not saying you should date someone you feel nothing for just because they're stable. What I am saying is that real sustainable chemistry has safety already baked into it. It feels like, your nervous system can exhale instead of clenching up every time you're in this person's presence. It feels like consistency instead of a guessing game each and every time. You know what you're getting. It feels like butterflies sometimes, yes, but not a constant knot in your stomach. Healthy chemistry sounds like someone saying, he said he was going to call at 7, and God damn it, he called at 7. If something changes, this person tells me, okay? They don't leave me hanging. They just say, hey, such and such came up. Can we adjust the time so that we can continue to have our date? You're not trying to guess what someone is thinking. Healthy chemistry looks like saying how you feel about them without having to brace for impact, without having to say, oh, I hope I didn't say too much. Or I hope this goes over well and it doesn't appear that I'm like overly needy. If the chemistry you're feeling is 90% anxiety and 10% cute, baby, that is not chemistry. That is your trauma being triggered. Now, I ain't gonna hold you, and I do not want to waste your time today. So what I want to do is give you 3 quick questions to check and see if this is really chemistry in real time. You can literally pause this later and journal these out, or we can answer these right now. We can go ahead and figure out whether it's chemistry or chaos, okay? Question number 1, is my body relaxed or on edge? See, these are simple questions. All you got to do is ask yourself, is my body relaxed when I am in their presence and when I talk to them? Or am I always on defense? Am I always trying to figure out the next step? Try to figure out the angle. Are they running game? Is it a manipulation? What's going on here? Are you always trying to figure things out rather than relaxing into it? You got to ask yourself, when I'm around this person, do I feel settled? Or am I low-key nauseous and hypervigilant, okay? After I see them, do I sleep well? Big question. How somebody is impacting your sleep tells you everything you need to know about whether you're a good match, whether there's chemistry or chaos involved, okay? How do you sleep? Am I up replaying all of the words that we said to one another to see if I was wrong, to see where they messed up? Okay. Your body knows before your brain does sometimes. Sis, if you are only feeling alive when you're anxious, that is not love. That is not chemistry. It is chaos. Okay. Chaos versus chemistry. That's what we're talking about here today. Question number 2, you're going to ask yourself to determine if it's chaos or chemistry. Is there more clarity or more confusion? Do I have more clarity on this relationship or do I have more confusion about this relationship? Healthy chemistry comes from clarity. You know where you stand. Their words and their actions are aligned. Everything lines up. You don't have to pull teeth to get basic information. If you're constantly detectiving, decoding, asking your homegirl to take a screenshot or analyze something, that's confusion, sis. That's not connection. Okay. That is chaos. Okay. Chaos. All right. Number 3, the third way that we know whether this is chaos or connection. Am I being myself or less? Am I being myself or less? That's the third question you're going to ask yourself. And you're going to pay attention to who you become when you are in their midst. When you're in someone's presence and you don't recognize yourself, honey, not chemistry, chaos. Do you feel like you can be your full, weird, brilliant, strong self when you're in this person's presence, when you're around them, when you're talking to them on the phone? You have to pretend that you are someone else. Do you have to dim your light? Do you have to simplify your worth in order to engage them? Because that is telling you, honey, they don't like you. They like what you can provide for them. You provide an ego boost for them. And that's not chemistry, honey. That's chaos. And it's chaotic because you got to keep that up. However you start this thing is how it's going to end. And that you would have to keep up for the rest of your life. And you got to ask yourself, am I willing to continue to do this long term? That's why we end up in this situation over and over again, because we start things out in a way where we think we can continue to do this. Well, I don't have to be this in a relationship. I don't have to be the smartest one in the relationship. I don't have to have my way all the time. I don't have to da-da-da-da-da. And I'm not saying any of those things are true. What I am saying is you need to be able to show up as your full, weird, brilliant self all the time and see how they deal with that. Because a right person for you will deal with that with grace, with ease, with acceptance and love. Okay? If you feel like you have to edit yourself, if you feel like you have to audition, if you feel like you have to shrink in order to be interesting to this person or to be seen as like, she's really cool, she's really chill. If you're losing yourself to keep the chemistry, that's not a spark. It is a warning. It's chaos. It's not chemistry. Now, why I am talking about all of this today is because we are smack dab in the midst of more love, less hustle season, because so many of you are hustling for relationships that only feel intense because they're familiar, not because they're actually good for you. If you thought while you're listening to this episode, why am I so drawn to people who stress me out? Why do the nice, consistent ones feel boring, or do I pull away from them? Then I want you in the next More Love, Less Hustle. We're digging deep into why your nervous system keeps picking chaos and calling it chemistry. Okay? We're talking about how your history has quietly steered you towards chaos rather than chemistry, and how to start reteaching your body what real, safe love feels like and what it looks like. It is just an hour working lunch. It's live, not a bot. I'm there answering your questions, talking to you, being my little sassy self. Me, you, and our good girlfriends on a Zoom doing this work together. Our next session is coming up this week. I've got this Wednesday open, the 11th, and I have several more dates throughout this month. You can save your seat by going to becometheone.myflowdesk.com/more love, less hustle. You can also tap the link in the show notes to get there faster, because I know that's a lot of typing. And if you hear nothing else from me today, I want you to hear this. I don't want you to talk yourself out of the thing that you already know you need. You don't need another year of confusing chaos for chemistry. You need 1 hour, sis. And then a decision needs to be made about what you're going to do next. Okay. The next best step for you is to sign up for More Love, Less Hustle so we can work this thing right on out, because each one of the attendees for More Love, Less Hustle has walked out of that room with their own personal stop-start strategy and a clear path as to what they need to do next in their relationships in order to make them work. And I want that for you. I want that so desperately. Okay. All right, babe. I hope this episode gave you something to think about the next time your stomach starts turning knots and doing flips. If this episode was exactly what you needed, somebody else probably needs it too. So be sure to share it with their good girlfriend who loves toxic relationships and can't see it until she's knee deep in the ghetto. Okay. Hop on over to Apple Podcasts as well, if you would, and leave your girl a review. 5 stars is great. It's great, great, great. Leave a review. Tell people why you like the podcast. Share it with your girlfriends. And also, don't forget to join me at More Love, Less Hustle. Become the one.myflowdesk.com/More Love, Less Hustle. I think I said that right. All right. Remember, you are not here to hustle for love. You are here to be loved fully as the woman you are becoming. And I invite you each and every day to continue to do the work to become the one. I'll see you next week, hopefully this Wednesday on More Love, Less Hustle. Ciao. Hey, babe, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. My goal with this podcast is to bless you with information that helps you fix those relationships that are most important to you, but not before you do the self-work needed to make sure that those relationships thrive. If this episode was exactly what you needed, then guess what? Somebody else probably needs it too. So do me and them a favor. Please share this episode with your good girlfriend and let her know about the podcast. And while you're at it, hop on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review. This really helps to grow the podcast and puts it right in front of other women who are desperate to work on their relationships and themselves. And if you haven't done so already, I want to invite you to join our community of like-minded women all on a journey to become the one. You can sign up for free at becometheone.myflowdesk.com/email. I know that's a lot, so just go on over to the show notes and click that link there. Thanks again for listening to Fix Your Relationships with Dr. Tiff. I'll see you right back here next week.